Every day, all around the world, the people of Orica help mobilise vital resources essential to progress and prosperity. Resources that make energy, transport and infrastructure, modern electronics and new technologies that billions of people rely on. Our story began back in 1874 when we supplied explosives to goldfields in Australia. Since then, we've grown to become the world's leader in mining and civil blasting, providing world-class products and services to extract minerals safely, efficiently and responsibly. And we're a truly global company. Our community of engineers, scientists, technologists, business specialists, operators and on-site crew support customers in more than 100 countries. Backed by our global supply chain and manufacturing footprint, we're there for our customers when they need us, no matter where they are. But we're not standing still. We're looking to the future and reimagining the way we work. Already, robotics, automation and data are transforming our industry. Innovation is allowing us to think differently and operate even more precisely. From digital technologies that help connect, monitor and track, to progressing blast automation, improvements can be realised across the mining value chain, making blasts more predictable, more productive and much safer. Because making sure we all return home safely, each day to our loved ones, is our #1 priority. To help solve the challenges we all face and to seize the opportunities these technologies will bring, we work closely with our customers and peers while investing in our own research, alliances and partnerships. By harnessing next-generation technologies, we can create meaningful impact, not only for our customers, but for the communities where we work, to help address environmental and social challenges, a responsibility we proudly embrace. But underneath it all, it's the thoughtfulness and curiosity of our people, every one of them, who make the difference. We work as one team, always guided by the values we share and uphold. Together, we can continue to pave the way forward and ignite opportunities that create a better future for us all.
Since 1998, we have committed over 50 million tonne of quality Indonesian coal to our loyal customers to improve quality of life. With a vision to be a leading energy company, we will keep striving to be an excellent and responsible energy provider and to bring energy alive. Bara Multi Group today has grown into a group with multiple business lines: coal mining, coal shipping and logistics, and coal trading. The group has developed various coals of infrastructure to support all of its mining activities to ensure effective and efficient operation. We have expanded our local mining assets to 11 coal concessions spread throughout South Sumatra and Kalimantan. These coal assets have bolstered our strength in the Asian coal market with a 3.6 billion tonne of coal resources and diverse coal specification. Since 2009, we have increased our sales from 3 million tonnes to 14 million tonnes. As a way to strengthen its position in the world coal market, Bara Multi Group has engaged in partnership with world-class companies such as Tata Power from India, Idemitsu Kosan from Japan, ENGIE from France, and GS Global from Korea. In South Kalimantan, where our largest coal concession is located, we have an estimated total resources of 3.5 billion tonnes and a total reserve of 1.2 billion tonnes within 22,433 hectares area. Our mine is operated by PT Antang Gunung Meratus or AGM, a second-generation coal contract of work concession. In this area, our current projected production capacity is 8.3 million tonnes by the end of 2017. AGM's Ida Mangala coal stockpile has a capacity that can hold coal up to 1.4 million tonne and supported by 3 crushers with total crushing capacities at 2,150 tonne per hour. To transfer crushed coal from Ida Mangala stockpile to our temporary stockpile at Lok Buntar Coal Terminal, we have constructed a 35-kilometre hauling road. From Lok Buntar Coal Terminal, we are utilising 55 180-feet barges and 4 self-propelled barges with an average of 1,200 tonne capacities to transport our coal through our canal to AGM's own Sungai Puting Coal Terminal.
Power melihat bahwa kita tuh hidup di zaman terpolarisasi banget antara industri dan lingkungan, dimana seakan-akan umat manusia harus milih nih antara keduanya untuk kita bisa maju ke depan. Padahal kita nggak ngerasa kayak gitu di Power, bahwa keduanya ini bisa saling beriringan dan kesetimbangan antara industri dan lingkungan, dan hal ini yang kita perjuangkan, yang kita sebut sebagai konsep industrial sustainability.
Di Power kita banyak serve industri tambang, termasuk salah satunya tambang batubara. Kita mengolah air limbah mulai dari air keruh yang TSS-nya tinggi sampai air asam yang pH-nya rendah. Solusi yang kita berikan integrated
sesuai standar regulasi yang berlaku. Tapi, apakah hanya sampai di situ saja? Tidak. Power mendukung dan membantu aksi lebih jauh. Power membantu mengolah kembali air tersebut menggunakan sederet chemical yang tepat dan equipment yang spesifik, sehingga air tersebut dapat digunakan kembali sebagai air domestik dan maupun air utilitas di pabrik. Jadi, industrial sustainability itu tak melulu soal mengolah air limbah saja hingga aman dibuang ke lingkungan, tapi bisa lebih jauh dengan memanfaatkan air yang biasanya dibuang begitu saja.
Mineral di Indonesia itu terbatas, oleh karena itu harus mampu diolah sebaik mungkin untuk menghasilkan produk yang bernilai lebih tinggi. Di pabrik pengolahan mineral, pasti akan digunakan bahan kimia untuk mendapatkan operasional proses yang optimum, dan juga untuk mengatasi permasalahan-permasalahan yang ada di proses produksi. Nah, Power melalui produk chemicalnya berkomitmen untuk membantu berbagai mineral processing di Indonesia untuk menjalankan operasional pabrik yang optimum, ramah lingkungan, dan output recovery yang maksimal.
Jadi memang nggak mudah sih untuk bisa membalance antara keduanya, but the truth is, this could work. Industries and environment can go hand in hand. Cuman memang nggak gampang, tapi bisa. Ya, well, nothing worth having is easy to get kan? Dan disinilah peran kami, Power Chemicals, to bring the balance between industrial growth and environmental sustainability melalui teknologi, engineering, dan chemicals. Memang sustainability itu pilihan, but we want every industry to make the sustainable choice.
Selamat datang di Tambang Batu Hijau, salah satu tambang tembaga dan emas terbesar di Indonesia yang terletak di Kabupaten Sumbawa Barat, Provinsi Nusa Tenggara Barat. PT Aman Mineral Nusa Tenggara mengoperasikan tambang batu hijau sejak tahun 2016 pasca akuisisi dari PT Newmont Nusa Tenggara. Disinilah kami melakukan rangkaian proses untuk menghasilkan mineral yang sangat penting bagi kehidupan manusia. Aman melakukan transformasi dalam berbagai aspek operasional untuk mencapai visi menciptakan warisan terbaik. Strategi operasional Aman adalah untuk meningkatkan copper recovery sebagai upaya konservasi mineral dan mengurangi kandungan mineral pada tailing yang ditempatkan di dasar laut atau deep sea tailing placement. Recovery penambangan juga didukung dengan peningkatan produktivitas peralatan utama, seperti shovel elektrik dan juga haul truck.
Lebih dari 20 tahun, kami, Cipta Kridatama, telah memberikan layanan terbaik bagi pelanggan. Setiap langkah kami adalah perwujudan dari visi dan misi kami. Kami selalu bersinergi dengan grup ABM Investama dan Tiara Marga Trakindo. Dengan sinergi ini, kami telah berhasil memberikan layanan terbaik sebagai kontraktor pertambangan dengan pencapaian mengesankan di hampir seluruh wilayah Indonesia. Kami senantiasa menerapkan good mining practice di setiap aktivitas kami. Mulai dari survei dan eksplorasi wilayah pertambangan yang akurat, Dilanjutkan dengan pemodelan dan desain tambang. Metode pemberaian material dengan peledakan kami lakukan jika dibutuhkan. Pemindahan tanah pucuk dan tanah penutup dilakukan dengan seksama agar bisa dimanfaatkan kembali dalam proses pasca tambang. Selanjutnya, proses pengambilan hasil tambang dan pengangkutan kami lakukan dengan cara yang efisien. Seluruh kegiatan produksi kami didukung dengan peralatan modern terkini yang menunjang terciptanya proses penambangan terbaik yang terintegrasi. Keselamatan dan kesehatan kerja telah menjadi nafas kami dalam pengoperasian tambang. Dalam setiap tambang, kami juga membangun fasilitas-fasilitas penunjang, baik untuk penunjang operasional maupun penunjang kesehatan, keselamatan, dan kenyamanan karyawan.
Good afternoon, respected participants. Welcome to the Indonesia Student Mining Competition the 13th International Webinar, Sustainability Actions in Mining Industry. What a wonderful day, isn't it? But first of all, let us be thankful to the God Almighty for giving us the opportunity and chance so we can gather here to witness the excitement of this webinar. On this special occasion, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Alberto Graciano from Bandung Institute of Technology, hereby as your Master of Ceremony. First of all, we would like to give a very special thank you to our Faculty of Mining and Petroleum Engineering, Dean's Professor, Engineer Rido Kresna Watimena, MT, PhD. Our amazing speakers for today, Professor Dr. Karsten Drbenset from Berga Academy, Freiburg, Engineer Luis Gerda Pesiraron, MBA from Kaltim Primakol, and Mr. Ridwan Auladi from Principal Integrated Planning, BHP. Our moderator for today, Professor Dr. Engineer Rudi Sayoga Gautama, Mr. and Mrs. Lecturer of Mining Engineering, Bandung Institute of Technology, and Mr. and Mrs. and fellow students participating in this webinar. Welcome to the Indonesia Student Mining Competition, the 13th International Webinar with theme, Reinforcing the National Resilience through Mining Perspective, by sub-theme as of today, Sustainability Actions in Mining Industry. And this event could not have been possible without our committees, volunteers, and participants. Their trust, time, effort, and dedication make this event a success. We would like to give a very special thank you to our sponsors, Orica Mining Services, Arutmin, Bara Multi Sukses Sarana, Adaro Energy, Power Chemical Services, Aman Mineral, Cipta Kridatama, Mifa Bersaudara, Pama Persada, Prima Andalan Mandiri, Indonesia Power, Modular Mining, Geoman Indonesia, Tambang Eksplorasi ITB 2001, Ikatan Alumni Tambang ITB Tembagapura, DNX Indonesia, Vale Indonesia, and Agincourt Resources. Also, we would like to give a very special thank you to our media partners, Tambang Hits, Mahasiswa Tambang, Anak Tambang, Radio PPI Dunia, Lomba Mahasiswa, Tambang Nasional, Zona Lomba, Dunia Tambang, Info Lomba dan Beasiswa, Kampus Update, Update Lomba, Info Lomba, 8EH Radio ITB, Media Event 21, Acara Kampus, Event Center, Event Kampus, Webinar Nasional, webinarindonesia.info, eventcampus.co, event mahasiswa 8, lomba_mahasiswa. And also this webinar event supported by Indonesian Rock Mechanics Society, Perhimpunan Ahli Pertambangan Indonesia, Kementerian Energi dan Sumber Daya Mineral, and also Prime Skills. We would like to say our gratitude and thank you to Downlight Studio, who collaborated with Indonesia Student Mining Competition the 13th to make a great visual and success of this event. Without further ado, we would like to introduce you to today's moderator that will guide us for today, Professor Dr. Engineer Rudi Sayoga Gautama. He finished his education in mining engineer from Bandung Institute of Technology and doctor in hydrogeology from Aachen, Germany. His experiences, lecturer for bachelor to doctoral program in mining engineering ITB since 1982, Head of Center for Research on Technology of ITB from 1999 to 2003, Head of Center for Environmental Studies of ITB from 2003 to 2007, Head of Center of Research Excellence on Mining Environment and Mine Closure of ITB, Member of Evaluation Team for Environmental Management Performance Award since 2006, Member of Technical Team of Ministry of Environment in 2007, Member of Executive Committee, World Forum of University of Resources on Sustainability since 2012, Guest Lecturer at Technical University Berga Academy Freiburg, Germany in 2003, and Akita University, Japan in 2012. His organizational experience, Head of Environmental Committee and Member of Advisory Board and Board of Experts, PERHAPI, or Indonesian Associations of Mining Professionals, Member and co-opted counselor in the Executive Committee, International Mine Water Association, Member of International Association of Hydrogeologists, Member of Society of Mining Professors, and last, co-founder of Persatuan Ahli Air Tanah Indonesia, or Indonesian Groundwater Professional Association. Without further ado, please welcome Professor Dr. Engineer Rudy Sayoga Gautama. Sir, the time is yours.
Distinguished guests, distinguished speakers, we have a very distinguished speakers for this afternoon. And also the participants, I see in the list of participants, there are more than 300 participants, I hope from every part of Indonesia as well as from abroad. So this is the webinar today is actually is a part of the Indonesian Student Mining Competition program, part of this program. Today we will talk about the sustainability actions in mining industry. Before we start the webinar, inviting the first presenter to present the talks, I would like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Mining Engineering, Mining and Petroleum Engineering of ITB to give a speech. Please, the floor is yours, Pak Rido.
Okay, thank you very much, Rudy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to welcome all these invited speakers, Professor Tresbert from Germany, Ibu Louis from KPC, and also Pak Ridwan from Australia. It is a very honor for us in our faculty to have all the prominent speakers that will share their experiences, that will share their knowledge in mining sustainability to the participant as a part of this Indonesian Student Mining Competition. So I believe all the participants, not only the students, but I think some of our lecturers from ITB and also probably from other universities in Indonesia attend this very fruitful webinar. Will get more knowledge, will get more insights from all the speakers for today. And so once again, thank you for spending your time to talk to the participant, to share your experiences. I know this is Saturday and probably already Saturday night in Brisbane. So once again, thank you, Pak Ridwan, for spending your time to share your experience in mining sustainability. So as usual, by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare that this webinar is officially open. Thank you very much. Selamat siang. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Rido. Ladies and gentlemen, actually in the program, we have the first speaker is Professor Carsten Bebenset from Germany. Since we have a time difference of 6 hours, now maybe it's about 7 o'clock in the morning. I think I hope there will be no problem with the connection from Professor Bebenset, but we will start the speaker. I will like to invite the next speaker or the second speaker in the program. I would like to invite Ibu Luis Pesirero. First, I would like to introduce Ibu Luis Gerda Pesirero. Ibu Luis Gerda Pesirero is now work at the with the Kalti Prima Coal in a coal mining company in East Kalimantan. She is actually an architect by training from Bandung Institute of Technology, and she already worked from, I think, from the first time I met Ibu Luis was she was the head of the Sangatta town, so the mayor of Sangatta town at the time. I don't know, it was maybe mid 90s, yeah, Ibu Luis, yeah. At that time, Sangatta is the city where the Kalti Prima Coal is based, and at that time, Swarga Bara is a new town site of the KPC, and Ibu Luis was the mayor of the Swarga Bara at that time. So she has a very long experiences in Kalti Prima Coal, and at the moment, since August 2005, she is the manager of project management and evaluation department, and you can see all the long experience of Ibu Luis. So she's I think the one is important information. She is the mentor from women in energy and mining. I think it is very important, and I believe some of activists of women in energy and mining is also in the participants of this webinar. So Ibu Luis will talk about the community development in mining, because if we are talking about sustainability in mining industry, we have this webinar is actually designed. We have the sustainability in mining industry from three perspectives. The first one is from the demand side, the demand of mineral side, the industrial country, and the second one from the supply side, and the third one is from the sustainability in terms of community development. So for this topic, Bu Luis will share with us the community development in mining. Please, Bu Luis, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Pak Rudi. I will share my presentation. Okay. Is this clear, ya, Pak?
Yeah.
So, yeah, good day, everyone. And thank you, Pak Rudi Sayoga, and also Pak Rido, for the opportunity to share this topic in this annual event. I think which will be delivered to mostly the mining society and the students and also the people who's working in mining industry. As requested by the committee and also as mentioned earlier by Pak Rudi, I will present you community development in mining by approaching from the angle of creating shared value with the stakeholders. Yeah, this is the outline for our discussion today. We'll start with the introduction and then look at the CSR strategy map. What is community involvement in development based on ISO 26000, implementation, governance, monitoring, evaluation, and at the end for the conclusion. First of all, as an introduction, let us look at some definition about community development as it is stated by the International Council on Mining and Metal. It is the process of increasing strength and effectiveness of communities, improving people's quality of life, and enabling people to participate in decision-making to achieve greater long-term control over their lives. And according to International Finance Corporation in the environmental divisions, the programs are promoting sustainable economic growth, environmental protection, education, skills, building and health and welfare of people who live near of affected area by companies' operations. And based on ISO 26000, it describes what is social responsibility as a traditional way to refer to the role of a business in contributing positively to the larger community in which it operates, and also community involvement in development programs, where the business should recognize the long-term interest in the sustainability of the communities in which they are operating. Every business stakeholder in its community, it depends on the community and also affect its development. By providing employment, all business can make an important contribution to reducing poverty and promoting economic development. So let me introduce you the PT KPC at a glance. It is located in East Kalimantan Regency in East Kutai with total area nearly 85,000 hectares and crop production capacity up to 70 million ton per annum, with employees PT KPC and its subcontractors nearly 25,000 people. The product domestic regional brutto is still depends on mining sectors 87% and serving the market in Asia Pacific, and to fulfill the DMO of 25%. Its surrounding community in 4 districts, approximately 250,000 population, with 27 villages in the near area. The commitment of $5 million annually for community development is contributed by KPC, and its sustainable motto is more than mining. It is a sustainable legacy for the progress of local community and global society through responsible coal mining operation by the good mining practice. Here, the vision is Indonesia's leading coal producer and for global needs, delivering optimum value to all stakeholders. From the 5 missions, we can see that it is optimizing value for all stakeholders, which is related to what we'll talk about the community development here. In order to support SDGs, then supporting policy include sustainable development. Before we go into the community development implementation, let us look at the background of what drives CSR, why mining industries do that. As we see that it is currently a hot topic, especially in extractive industry like coal mining, because its execution produces varied perspectives among stakeholders. The issue of how to keep the business going when mining stakeholders have so many various impressions. Companies have increasingly practiced it as part of their business commitment to be ethically responsible for social and environmental concerns rather than just financial benefit only. So we can see that here, there has been various perceptions, sometimes negatives, on coal mining sectors of being responsible to social and environment, lack of stakeholders' trust, ineffective CSR program, which drive to risk to business sustainability. So there may be concerns about whether the success of the CSR or implementing the community development has linkage to the company's leadership and a long-term viability. Good mining practice is a way of how the mining conduct its operations in a sustainable way. One important aspect in the good mining practice is the social community aspect, which contributes to a sustainable mine closure. In KPC, the community development program implementation is aiming to sustainable community livelihood as the ultimate goal of the company to create a self-reliance community. As a coal mining company, KPC conducts its operational with good mining practice principles that contains factors which is very relevant with this mine closure to be a sustainable community livelihood post-mining, with this objective to support the sustainable development goals. The good mining practice is only one aspect of company basis in implementing community development. As development catalyst and community development promoter, the implementation refers to international norms, national standards, and regulation, and internally the strategic plan to support sustainable community livelihood post-mining. We conduct 7 community development programs with the objective to support the sustainable development goals. Internal driver of its community development implementation is the CSR strategy map based on the balanced scorecard that we have in the company as a map with strategy to communicate effectively, collaborate with stakeholders, improve community social economic conditions, and improve program performance achievement. Based on ISO 26000, community development is one of its 7 core subjects, which is in the community development, and this development lies in the 1 core CID, community involvement and development. Here are the programs or projects implementation of the 7 main programs that I mentioned earlier: the agribusiness, post-mining area development, SME, health, education, infrastructure, communities, institutions, and environmental conservation. All are aiming to create shared value with the community, and the goals are sustainable development goals. The post-mining program in 3 different X-pit mining areas, which are the Telaga Batu Arang, which is the X-mining pond, Pit Jupiter, and Pesat, which is the integrated coast husbandry. As we can see, there are layer hens pilot projects, which has been replicated to 18 farmers group in the community and feeding the region by 40% of the eggs need. The ecotourism area in the Telaga Batu Arang X-mining pond and Pesat area has producing milk, fresh milk, and milkshake as a location where school kids can come over to see the husbandry and milking process. The governance of the program follows the cycle of the planning, implementing, monitoring, evaluating, reporting. Here in the diagram, we start with social mapping and then survey and FGD. We got the survey data analysis and social issue and community needs based on our logical framework analysis, and then potential collaboration with stakeholders. And then the implementations to see the sustainability aspect. And after monitoring and evaluation, we can see what is the impact of sustainability. As mentioned earlier, that the goals of the program implementation is to support the main closure mandate, which is here is the growth of renewable agents, growth of local business units, business growth in the non-mining sector, job creation, increasing community involvement through collaboration in order to support independence for a sustainable community livelihood. Community program is implemented based on our response to social and environmental issues and what potential is available within the local area. For example, here, there are 4 programs: access to water in Sangatta City, dependence on egg protein, and also waste problem in Sangatta City, and the low absorption on cassava king in Rantau Pulung area. Here we see the problem-solving implementations, what is the target and what innovation we can make through the programs. At the end, we also support the local champions, those who are consistent in doing the program within the community. We can mention the program of clean water program, food security program, waste management, agribusiness and local culture, preservation as the flagship program of PT Kaltim Primakul. In this scheme, we can see that creating shared value through program is currently a need in our community development program implementation. Why sharing value? It is to share, so there is connection between company and the community, not only as a philanthropic actions and external driver, but also internally driven by the company's need. As we can see here, what the environmental and social management program refers to our policy sustainable development. In creating value business chain, what value are shared with the community, both sides will get the benefit. These are some program implementations, including clean water program, waste management program, and the latest that we already contribute to the local Sangatta government is the hydro drive incinerator, which has a capacity of 550 ton per day of waste management. During the pandemic, company also support vulnerable community through basic needs fulfillment as medical tools and equipment in the public hospital and community health center. daily basic support for family like 2,000 community packages, vaccination to 5,000 students before they have offline schools. We work with 30 schools in collaboration with 6 community health centers around the region, and protection to vulnerable groups, 200 oxygen tubes and 30,000 refilling the oxygen tubes in the public hospital. We also have a program with the women groups, sewing groups, of 3,000 pieces mass creation with the local women group. Total of 10 billion rupiah for local and national level in 2020 and 50 billion rupiah for the national level. Examples of infrastructure program were not overlapped with the government program budget. This includes the roads, drainage, buildings for education, health, and village office, and all the public community facilities. Capacity building through the local batik motifs of the Dayak Basak tribe. We develop local motifs, assist the local designer to go national in Jakarta Fashion Week, as we can see here, and global, going also to the New York Fashion Week. These are the samples of so many community development programs that we do based on the infrastructure and also with the education for scholarship, health, SME development, local culture preservation, local seeds by local community preservations for reclamation, and also other things with agribusiness and capacity building. During the implementation, the project and program monitoring is conducted. And after program completion, the measurement is carried out through community satisfaction index that we conducted after the program is completed. And then social return on investment, which we call SROI, and community feedback through the social media, and also testimonies. As we can see here also that stakeholder engagement in social media is an important part to know as feedback genuinely given by the community regarding the program collaborations conducted with the company. In SME development, we see that there is a number of local suppliers and total purchasing from year to year getting increased to be involved with the local suppliers and local contractors. Finally, we came to the end of the presentation. We can conclude that creating shared value is both beneficial to community and company, not only for economic sake, but also for social culture as part of giving back to the community. As in the scheme here, we see that through the CSR program that we conduct, what is the driver needs of the company and what shared value that we can create through this program, inside out and outside in. I would like to call like that. And this is the conclusion. Our business is carried out by good governance and leadership, planning, good mining practice, focus on our people, customers, and stakeholders, including their rights, caring to the environment, and maintain sustainable partnerships, which are important to sustainability. Thank you, Pak Rudi and all. I hope this presentation can enrich our vision about community development in mining. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Louise, for very interesting presentation regarding the community development in strategy in KPC. The KPC, as we already aware, as also shown by Ibu Louise, is one of the largest coal mining company in Indonesia, and we already see that how the KPC already designed the CSR with such a very comprehensive approach, as well as the very comprehensive program. So for the participants, there will be, if you have any questions, you can write in the Q&A, we will read the Q&A after the presentations in the in the discussion session. So let us proceed to the next speaker. The next speaker is I would say Mas Ridwan Auladi. Yeah, Mas Ridwan Auladi. He was a mining engineer, graduated from ITB, from Mining Engineering Department of ITB, and he has a very long experiences in mining industry, starting with in Vale, Indonesia, in nickel mining in South Sulawesi, and now he is a principal integrated planning in at BHP in Australia. It's already since April 2020. Because Mas Ridwan is working in Australia, so he will share with us the sustainability in mining from the perspective of Australian mining industry. As I mentioned before, if we are talking in this webinar, we will discuss about the sustainability actions in mining industry from three different perspectives. The first one already presented by Ibu Louise. The second one is from the next will be presented by Mas Ridwan from the Australian mining industry. We all know that Australia is one of the largest mining country in the world. So Mas Ridwan will share with us how the Australian mining industry look at the sustainability issues. Okay, please, Mas Ridwan, the time is yours.
Okay, before I start, I would like to check, can everyone hear my voice clearly?
Yes, clear. Loud
Thank you,
clear.
Thank you, Pak Rudi Sayoga, for the opportunity. Thank you, Pak Rido, and thank you, Ibu Louise, for starting our webinar. Very interesting presentation from Ibu Louise, with the perspective of, to me, it's the biggest coal mining company in the world. 70 million tons per annum. That's a big numbers. I don't remember there's any Australian mining company that produced that big. So yes, the biggest mining company in the world. So yeah, thank you. Today I would like to present, like Pak Rudi Sayoga said, it's all about the approach from the mining industry in Australia. So I like to say it's a context, and then also from the approach, and also from the perspective of the mining industry. So why I started with the context, and also I mentioned about the approach itself, because that's important, because as we all know, sustainability action for every area in the world, or every country in the world is going to be different, depending on the context, depending on the external factor and internal factor of the industry itself, and where the country basically is situated. So today I will talk about from the Australian mining industry perspective. So let me share my screen pretty quick. Okay. All right. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee of the ISMC. I remember back in 2001, I was one of you in the ISMC number 3. So I understand all the hard work and dedication that all of you put into this event to make sure that this event is successful and sustainable too. So you can imagine, starting from number 1, I think it was in 1996, and then number 3 in 2001, and now it's number 13 already. So well done. Thank you for continuing all the, all this tradition, good tradition, and make it and expand it into like this size now. And I understand there's a lot of other events basically attached to this event. So well done, the team and the organizing committee. So thank you very much. I really appreciate to be invited into this event and sharing my perspective and my experience. So probably not as experienced as Ibu Louis and maybe Professor Carsten, but I would like to give a little bit of different point of view from the Australian mining industry. All right, before I start, I would like to also start with this is really common in Australia. Before we start anything, we would like to acknowledge the Jagera and Turrbal people, which is the traditional custodian of the land where I conducted this presentation, which is in Brisbane, Australia. And I would like to pay respect to the elders, past, present, and emerging. So this acknowledgement is very important because we are living in their land in Australia, and we would like to appreciate that they are the custodian, they are the one that arrived here first. And that's part of the sustainability in not only in mining, but also in any industry that we acknowledge the indigenous people of Australia. All right, without further ado, today I would like to cover sustainability in mining, especially the action and why the action is like that. So I would like to probably more put emphasis on the context, and that basically drives the action. And then also what are the examples of the action itself, and then how we can learn from it. Doesn't mean that we have to copy paste, but at least you understand, okay, where mining industry coming from, why are they doing it this way? So then we can always bring back that learnings into any country in the world, including Indonesia. All right, so I've done the acknowledgement of the country, which is indigenous people in Australia. I mentioned that we're going to go through some context, which is Australian mining industry landscape. So I will go through the industry at a glance, and then also more like external factors and internal factors, and what are the sustainability issues that Australian mining industry have. And then that will determine the approach. I just want to give you an example of the approach, which is the role of technology in sustainability in Australian mining industry. And then at the end, we'll discuss the perspective, the learnings, and what we can learn from there. And then hopefully we can continue with Q&A later on. All right, I'll start with context. And I would like to introduce you with the mining industry in Australia. So industry at a glance. So mining industry in Australia is enjoying the highest place in the economy of Australia. So it basically contributes to nearly $50 billion Australia annual earnings. So basically fueling the Australia economic growth and high standard of living. The mineral export extend to $160 billion. So this is total net worth of resource export. And that's basically 75% of Australia total export. So you can imagine it's really, really important to the country, and basically contributing to majority of the GDP of Australia. And not only that, Australian mining industry also is the biggest employer, major employer in Australia. So about 1.2 million people employed in the industry, including foreigner like me. So it's 1.2 million. So it's the major employer in Australia. So in terms of commodities, we have 19 useful metals and minerals that we produce in Australia from over 350 operating mines. As you can see on the map there on the right-hand side, that's where all the 350 mines, approximately. I'm sure it's going to be more with recent exploration and recent operation open. Yeah, so maybe you heard about Adani. So that's a company from India, which is opening the biggest coal mine in Australia at the moment. So that's just one example of the recent development and recent mine that basically opened. So, and then in terms of location, as you can see, it's spread across the whole country, starting from the West Coast, which is in Western Australia, and then East Coast, which is in Queensland and New South Wales. Could you please mute, please? Sorry, got a lot of feedback there. So yeah, and then in the central of Australia, which is Northern Territory, and South Australia, all the way to Tasmania in the south. So it's basically spread out all over the country, and also a lot of material and mineral and metals that we are producing and still exporting. So the key takeaway from this slide is around the place of mining industry in the Australia economy. So it's very major and very important due to the abundance of ore and metals. Now I already give you some sort of like at a glance here, all the facts and really high level introduction. Now let's talk about the external factor. So what are the things that are impacting mining industry in Australia? So if we put in the pestle analysis here, so political, economical, social, technological, and environmental and legal. Long story short, because Australia mining industry have a very important place in the Australian economy, but also have some challenge and also have some strength. So for example, when I say challenge and strengths, for example, yeah, political. Australia is very stable politics. Yes, the Australia country have very stable politics, even though the prime minister changed every now and then, but the government and the constitution and because obviously Australia is the British, one of member of the British monarchy. So it's really stable. Even though the PM changed here and there, but stable government, which is controlling the environment as well. Very steady in terms of not changing, regulation much, but also broad-minded. When I say broad-minded, is very responsive to trend in the world, in the society. So they're very reactive in terms of, reactive in a positive way, responding to the needs of the country and surrounding country or neighboring country. Yeah? And then in terms of mining industry, political impact is also coming from the demand. So as we all know, Australia is the biggest supplier for mining resources, like Parodi mentioned. But also we are so reliant on the demand, yeah? So there's a lot of mineral and coal demand from all over the world, especially from China. China is the biggest consumer of Australia resource industry. Iron ore and metallurgical coal is just two of them, which is fueling the steel industry in China. So that's also posing some political. Maybe you remember that Australia had some political tension with China because China putting some import restriction with all the resources from Australia. So that's sort of like a political external factor that impacting mining industry. In terms of economy, I already mentioned that strong GDP growth for Australia, which is fueled by mining industry. But also in terms of economy, the society is really, really relying on mining. So it's driving the high cost of living, driving the high salary, driving the high standard of living there. So that's connected to social factor as well. In terms of social factor, not only that, mining in Australia usually in the remote area. So as you notice in the map, people in Australia like to live around the coast, while the mining companies or the mines is usually located in the very remote area, like they call it inland. Inland means a bit inland from the coast, and that causing people have to travel. People have to be away from their family for certain time. Could be about 7 days, 9 days, 5 days break, and come back again. So flying a lot, away from family a lot, that posing some psychological impact. So there's a lot of mental health issue, and I will cover that. And that's one of the sustainability issue that the mining industry in Australia are facing as well. Technology, well, because we are one of the biggest mining country in the world. There's a lot of mines, 350. So the word mining technologies houses like Caterpillar, Komatsu, and the other mining technology that trying to develop the technology or trying to offer their machinery, they're relying on Australia to test their equipment, to test the technology. And the Australian mining company are responding in a positive way too, because it will help them to increase productivity in Australia, which is one of the issues in sustainability as well. Productivity is not high in Australia. So technology help in this sense. And Australian mining industry devotes very heavily in the R&D, research and development. So we have what we call CSIRO. So that's one of sort of like a consortium group of mining companies putting their money in one spot in a goal trying to research and develop on any technologies that can be applied in the mining industry in Australia. That's just one example of the focus of R&D in mining industry in Australia. In terms of environmental, I think every country have the same issue. Mining is, well, the perception is bad for the environment. But there is three things here that I would like to highlight that really relevant to the mining industry in Australia. One is around global warming, obviously. There's increased demand on environmentally friendly product. So mining companies have to think about their product and how they can differentiate their offering to the market, because markets now become more picky, yeah, demanding that I want coal or I want iron ore that have certain specific or specification that more environmentally friendly. The second one is obviously impact of mining to the local environment. You know, like for example, water. Australia is a very dry country. So water consumption for mining industry is a very critical issue because for the fact that we don't have enough water. So that's just one example of the impact of the mining operation to the water or to the water consumption and water availability in Australia. The next one is pollution. But when I say pollution, he's not in Australia pollution, but in the country that consuming Australia metallurgical coal, for example, or Australia iron ore. Like in China, if you listen to the radio or watch TV, in China, the air pollution is really bad. You know why? Because in China, we have a lot of steel factory that using Australia's iron ore and Australia's metallurgical coal to cook the steel that fuel the economy. So this part of responsibility as well as producer, and also impacting and putting more pressure to Australian producer and exporter of mineral and resources. Legal, Australia have really strong and established legal system in respect to anything, including mining. I'm one of the mining inspectorates. So I have a mining inspector, inspector license. SSE, sorry, SSE is sort of like inspector tambang in Indonesia, which is you have to pass a lot of legal tests, and you have a very big responsibility. So that cites senior executive. So that's basically the inspector tambang of the mine here in Australia. So that's basically the external factor that impacting the Australian mining industry. So then, okay, Australia mining industries have a very special place in the Australian economy. That's good. But the pressure to sustainability is increasing. But we also have some benefit, like technology, focus in R&D. So that's good. That's make the productivity of mining industry in Australia increasing, become better, and become very interesting investment for any investor, including investor from Indonesia. So recently, there's a lot of investors from Indonesia coming to mining industry in Australia and owning mining or mines in Australia. So which is good. Okay, so the industry is in an okay situation at the moment, but I would like to take you into different perspective here, more around, okay, so what's the benefit of sustainability for mining companies in Australia? I like to use point of view from business, commercial point of view. That's where I'm working at the moment, in a commercial side in the mining company. So what is it? Australian mining company is currently probably not only Australia, mining industry in general in the global context is very susceptible to future disruption. So on the bottom left corner, this is the study from a center. I think it's conducted in 2018. So they conducted a survey to all industry in the world, every companies in every industry in the world. And if you see on the bottom right corner of this chart, That's where our industry sit. Industrial equipment and machinery, natural resources, utilities, energy, including capital markets. When I say capital markets, this is, people that investing in mining, yeah, buying company, selling company, acquiring company. So we are sitting in the bottom right corner. That means it's very vulnerable. 38% of the companies surveyed is impacted or very vulnerable. And if you see on the y-axis on the left, the current level of disruption, we're not even on the highest disruption yet. Mining is still traditional industry. Yeah, we just dig, wash or process and sell. Pretty raw, yeah. Added value, maybe not so much. So in terms of current level of disruption, like technology, yeah, all this future stuff that other industry probably already ahead of us, like for example, media, communication, software and platform, even infrastructure, they already have like high level of disruption in the industry, yeah, from technology space and from anything, and we're talking about big data, we're talking about machine learning. While mining we're still trying to do autonomous now in Australia. We just started. In Indonesia, probably not yet, yeah. But while like other industry, they already have autonomous long time ago. Maybe I use example of normal manufacturing, yeah, pabrik, normal manufacturing. They already use autonomous or automation like long back, yeah. So we're not even in that high level disruption yet. We're still like early days, but we are so vulnerable, yeah. So that gives you some context. What does this mean to us? Mining industry, not only in Australia, I think in global world, yeah. So what does that mean? All right, we have pressure internally in our country, all the issues, social, economical, legal, environmental, more pressure from that end, but also globally and also internally in the company itself. Things will come, and in the, I remember in one of the Netflix series, I don't know the name, but winter is coming, they said, yeah. Winter is coming, so disruption is coming, and our industry must be ready. In Australia now, we start doing autonomous. Trucks, no driver, just driving by itself. Train, hauling the coal or hauling the ore, no driver. Yeah, drone flying everywhere. Yeah, machine learning, we start using it. Big data, start using it to help improving productivities, improving safety. Yeah. So future disruption is coming. Yeah, and unknown. And that's basically related to what Ibu Louis mentioned before. Yeah. Beyond mining. Yeah, it's not just mining. Yeah. There is a triple bottom line concept. So I would like to introduce this concept to everyone in this webinar. Triple bottom lines. When I say triple bottom lines, traditionally CEO or the bosses of mining company only looking at one bottom line, which is profit. Traditionally, yeah, profit only. That's it. If you can deliver good profit, deliver good shareholder, share to our shareholder, pay dividend, good stuff. Move on. Doing well. Because of this increasing pressure internally and externally around the world to the mining company, because this mining company is usually multinational. We can't just look at one bottom line. We need to look at the other two, which is people and planet. Yeah. So this is the concept that I would like to introduce today. So profit, people, planet. But the question is, what is the benefit to the Australian mining industry or mining company in general? Okay, let me give you some data on the right-hand side here. The top chart is showing you the situation or the global outlook of mining in the world. Let me start with market capitalization. Market capitalization is the value of mining company. So that's basically your share multiplied with the price of share in the market. Yeah, how many numbers of share you have times the price in the market. So that means the greater the number, the bigger mining company. That means, yeah. So market capitalization changed not much, 1%. That means what? There's no growth. mining companies basically staying stagnant at the moment. This data from 2020, as we know, April is COVID started, and July is when we just entering COVID. Not much change in the market capitalization. So value of mining companies stay the same. That means share price and share ownership steady. People holding back, risk is high. We're not making enough money. We're not sharing enough, dividend to our stakeholders. So small movement. While production indicators, mining operation is start getting disrupted more. Probably not so much in the early days of COVID, but probably like these days, mining start getting impacted. Yeah. And also decrease in capex. What does this mean? Capex is capital expenditure. Yeah, this is capital. Mining companies more now become more disciplined on employing their capital because increased risk. They're more careful to make sure if they're employing this capital, what is the rate of investment? Need to be very, very high, at least past 20, 25%, 30%. So they want to make sure that every dollar they spend, every dollar they employ, they will get at least 25% profit on top of the investment that they put in. They're more disciplined. That could be less development in, or less exploration in mining, less industry, like employing new technology, etc., etc. Yeah. While in terms of demand, and I think Professor Carsten probably will explore this more further, our key consumer industry like steel and other industries that are consuming mining industry output, it's become reduced. Their production is reduced more and more in the future. While in terms of production of mining resource, stagnant, yeah, we're not seeing any improvement between a couple of months here. So what does this mean? That means in the future, mining industries will got more challenges. More challenges, not only from internal country, like external factor from within Australia, outside the mining industry, but also within the industry, like within the mining company itself. This is what the mining company look every day, right? What's in me, what's around me, and how I'm going to respond to make sure that my business continue. So the bottom chart, I used to say this is a race. This is a cost curve of mining companies. Mining companies is racing to go to the left side of this curve. Because the more you go to the left, that means your unit cost of producing every ton of your material is cheaper. That's basically the thing that they can control. The rest they can't control, and they can't control the market, they can't control the price. They can't control the future disruption that's coming. You can't control. But what they can control is the cost. Because, for example, if the market price drop, if still above the unit cost, we can still make money. And the ones that have a really high cost, which is on the right-hand side of the cost curve, it will drop off from the market. They can't compete because the price drop and lower than the unit cost they're producing. So naturally, it will basically lost the competition, right? So they're all racing toward the left-hand side. What does that mean? More productive. You're producing more material with less cost. That means productivity. So back again to the question, what is the benefit of sustainability? It's all about survival strategy for the mining business in Australia. I mentioned about employment cost is high. Hiring people in Australia is more expensive than hiring people outside Australia in mining industry. So they need to be more productive. If you're hiring this one people need to be able to do more things. Survival strategy for the longevity of the business. Like I said, it's about continuing the business profitable in the long run. So then the shareholder will get long run return as well. How? By achieving triple bottom lines. So key takeaway for this slide is more around sustainability is not only just about social license to operate in Australia, but it's also survival strategy for the business. You got to survive. There's a lot of things that you can't control. Only small things you can control. So then what's the question is, so what are the sustainability issues that are facing Australian mining industry at the moment? Okay, if we go back to the PESEL analysis and also the previous slide just then, one, sustainable business. So mining industry in Australia, thinking really, really hard how to make sure that the business is sustainable by making sure that the business is safe, responsible, and profitable, of course. Issues that covering that area is about health and safety. That's a big one, obviously. That's number one. People, I mentioned about indigenous of Australia, which is I mentioned in the acknowledgement of country in the beginning of the presentation. Human rights, inclusion and diversity, including women in mining, gender balance is a big issue as well in Australia. And we're trying to, for example, my company in BHP, we're trying to become 50-50 by 2025 between men and women in our workforce. Environment, land, tailings, water, energy consumption is a big one too. You know, we are trying to go green more and, you know, using renewable energy as well. The second one is around sustainable contribution to the economy. We want to become the biggest contributor to the Australian GDP in the long run. So not just now, but in the long run. The last one is, but not least, is sustainable future. Like I said, the winter is coming, you know, the future disruption is coming. This means that we also, if we want to be irreplaceable, like i.e. our position is important and we don't want to be replaced by the industry, we need to fuel human progress. Climate action. If we have climate change, then human might be not there. So we need to take action on climate change. So then we can see humans still survive and progress. Portfolio positioning is important as well. What I mean by this is what mining company produce. Like for example, multinational company usually have multiple different or portfolio of businesses, right? Coal mining, gold mining, you know, nickel, lithium, everything in their portfolio of businesses. So to make sure they are sustainable for the future and fueling human progress, they need to basically look at their portfolio again and think which mines or which industry or which businesses that I need to maintain and which businesses that I need to divest. So then I position my business in the very critical position and important position and then irrepressible. Like for example, the issue or the trend of electric car, for example, yeah, nickel business take off, right? Why? Because it's battery. Lithium business also take off. Why? Battery. That's why every company now, every investor now trying to own mining nickel mines or own lithium, you know, or trying to exploring lithium, you know, deposit, because they know in the future these things will be required to fuel human progress. The next one is copper. All this electric car will need cabling. So copper is going to be really critical minerals that supplying the future as well. So that's what I mean by portfolio positioning for the future. The next one is about innovation. Mining industry, like I said, traditionally we are traditional, yeah. So we don't have that, you know, high disruption as yet, but we want to basically make ourselves become par with the other industry from technology innovation point of view. That's why we're trying to partner with other industry to help us to get us into the position where we are on par with the other industry in terms of technology deployment and also sustainable in the future. Luis also mentioned about the SGD. So on the right-hand side here, this is about the indicative priorities in Australia, about which one of this from the 17 SGDs or Sustainable Development Goals that we would like to prioritize first based on the context in Australia and the challenges of sustainability in Australia. So innovation is a big one on the right-hand side there. This is for enhancement. Yeah, the top part of the chart is enhancement. The bottom one of the chart is mitigation. So enhancement mean increasing productivity, increasing, you know, like use of renewable energy, increasing jobs, economic growth, education. So all this sort of like enhancement to the community and to the business itself. whether direct, moderate, or indirect. And then the bottom is trying to mitigate the impact. Priority number one, like I mentioned before, water for Australia, and then land. Because Australia, other than mining, we also a big cattle supplier in the world. Indonesia, one of the consumer of Australia beef or meat, beef meat. So we have a lot of land that cattle industry basically use to breed the cattle or breed the beef and sheep, everything. So that's just one. So these are the sustainability issue facing Australian mining industry. But number one is sustainable business first. Why? Because if our business is not sustainable, we can't produce, or we can't become a profit, and we can't contribute to the society, and we can't also contribute to the future sustainable and human progress. So I'm looking at it from the supply, from the commercial side of the business. Yeah, is survival strategy. Now we already talked about the context, the why. Yeah. Now the question is the how. I mentioned in the pestle analysis of technology, Australia is basically the sandpit of mining technology deployment in the world. So the mining technology producer or creator, they're trying to get their technology into the Australia mining industry to test them, to make sure that they buy this technology and deploy them in Australia. And Australian mining industry use this as an advantage as well to increase their productivity. So this is just small example that I show you here. First one is autonomous. So we have autonomous trucks, we have autonomous train, pure autonomous. It's very weird. I've seen it. I've been in the one of autonomous mine. It's very weird when you're seeing truck running around without operator. They increase productivity, increase cycle time. The most importantly, remove risk. The reason why we have risk assessment in terms, for example, like wet season, yeah, like during the rain, the truck usually stop. Otherwise, the truck is gonna slip, yeah, and unsafe. When we say unsafe, that's unsafe for the operator, because inside the trucks there is an operator operating the trucks, right? But now, because the trucks is autonomous, that changed the whole risk factor. The whole risk factor changed. So the mining industry is learning, oh, I don't have operating the trucks. So that means I can operate under the rain. That means you have more production hours. That means you can get more production, productivity increase. So mining industry is learning. Same with the autonomous train. Traditionally, you use train driver to pull the lever and operating the train. Now, no one driving the train. It's just automatically running. You can predict. It's more predictable. You know when the train's going to arrive at port and at the mine. So you know exactly how much material they can move in a day based on their performance. Predictable. So we're trying to be like manufacturing. Yeah. So, and then this hover map, this looks like a drone, but the technology is not the drone itself, but the one that hanging under the drone. That's a hover map. That's basically 3D LiDAR mapping that can map underground in the non-GPS environment. So it can go deep into like chute, under caving, like in the very, very dangerous area that traditionally our surveyor have to go there and risking their life. Now we don't have to. This thing can go under there, and then if this thing's broken, so what? The risk factor change. We're not jeopardizing the most important things coming out from the mine. What is it? The human being. The most important thing coming out from the mine is human being. Not the ore, not the coal. Yeah, so this hover map technology is very, very helpful in Australia at the moment, and it's really trending because this is created from the R&D, and this is Australian company. Yeah, as I mentioned before, mining industry investing a lot in R&D. So including a lot of startup, a lot of startup people trying to build technology that can improve productivity of mining industry in Australia. That ship that you see in the slide there, that's from my company. is the world's first LNG fuel bulk carrier in the world. We have a couple of them. Why LNG? Because we're trying to decarbonize our supply chain by using LNG as the fuel replacement as a normal fuel like solar, yeah? Trying to reduce the carbon. So it's one of the effort trying to decarbonize the supply chain. So not only just the mine is just one of the chains within the value chain of mining business, right? From the pit to the customer. So yes, we can make sustainable in the mine itself, but that's only one part of it. Our supply chain, including the train, the ships that take our product from the port to destination country, also need to be sustainable, need to be decarbonized to limit the impact to, emission, carbon emission contributing to the, global warming. Yeah. And I mentioned about the portfolio positioning on the right-hand side there. So company, this is from BHP. So company is basically trying to focus on which portfolio business of resources that I need to maintain that will make my business sustainable in the future, i.e. people will buy this product all the time going forward, fueled by, future technology like electric car, emerging usage of anything like new technology in the future. Yeah. So this is just an example of the role of technology. And I would like to also probably add around data. Since the beginning of the time we start recording data, I don't know when, back in the days, we've been collecting and piling data. We never used them. Maybe we used them only in the skin side, like only the crack of it probably. But we haven't used technology like machine learning to predict, for example, the risk of production based on historical data. Or, the likelihood of this kind of incident in the mine to improve health and safety, for example. We haven't used this machine learning. We just started now in Australia. While this machine learning technology has been around for a while, and our technology, industry has been using it for a while. Yeah, big data, data analytics. Back in the days, there's no job, what we call data engineer or data scientist. Now we haven't. We have that data scientist role, right, in the world. So this is just an example of the role of technology in sustainability in Australian mining industry. Now the question is, okay, what we can learn from here. I spent a lot of time today discussing about the context. The reason why is because it's important. Context is critical. It will drive vision, attitude, and also commitment, and also approach. And the decision for the mining company in the mining industry in Australia on sustainability. Because they know there's a lot of pressure, they understand the context, they understand the external factor, they understand it internally, and the future trend. Okay, the benefit of sustainability is my business will be sustainable in the future, and I can keep going with my business. I can keep sharing, value with our stakeholders. So it's very important to understand the context. The next one is also to understand what is the strength of our industry in our own country. Mining industry in Australia, like I said before, very strong in technology, and so they use this. They use technology to address the sustainability issues. One of them, or a couple of them, I mentioned the example there, but that's just limited. Please ask question if you want to know about people, health and safety. I will elaborate more in the Q&A. But the learning here, try to understand the strength of mining industry in your country, and then use that to address sustainability relevant to your country. And then the next one is around sustainability, not only just social license to operate. Beyond that, it's a survival strategy from the business point of view. At the end of the day, the goal for every mining company is to operate a business in the long run, right? And in the case of mining industry in Australia, mining company in Australia try to play a critical part in fueling human progress in the economic growth of Australia, and also fueling human progress in general in the future. In a nutshell, we're trying to be responsible, so then mining industry become irreplaceable in the view of Australian society, and that means Australian business can be sustainable in Australia. So that's pretty much all from me. So hopefully we can elaborate more in a Q&A. Hopefully everyone can learn and can take something from my my sharing. Probably not much in here, so but I like to initiate this thinking. Don't just look at sustainability from one end. There's other end as well, which is from the business. We're not philanthropists like what Ibu Gerda said, Ibu Louis say. Yeah, we're not philanthropists. We're here to make money, but also we need to be responsible and sustainable because there's increasing pressure from surrounding mining industry. So that's all from me. Thank you very much for the time, and looking forward for the question in the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Mas Ridwan. Okay, thank you, Mas Ridwan already for a very interesting presentation regarding the sustainability in from this perspective of Australian mining industry. I think you're right that if we as you mentioned in your conclusion that we need to identify the strengths of our mining industry in the case of Indonesia, for example, and then try to have to develop a strategy for the sustainability of the mining industry. So it is a very interesting perspective from one of the largest mining country in the world, and unfortunately we still have problem with the connection with Professor Carsten Devenstedt. Maybe we can go through the discussion. So I would like to ask the organizing committee, should I read the question? Maybe I will read the question. So there are some questions already from the participants in the Q&A. So I would first, I will read the question. So the first one is from Alfred Mardatila, CNPSP. I don't know what the meaning of CNPSP. Currently, there are many complaints from the public regarding the mining industry to illegal mining. But according to Law Number 4 of 2019, the government has accommodated mining activities carried out by the community by issuing community mining permits. But due to lack of knowledge about mining sustainability, many have damaged nature and the environment. Then how to deal with community-owned miners who take refuge in the above law? I don't know. I will let Abu Luis to share her ideas on that, and also Mas Ridwan can also maybe, because it is actually not very specific in relating with your presentation. This is the one. I would like to read, so you can also then answer it for. Okay. The second question is Juan Pariama from University of Lambung Mangkurat. Thank you, Ibu Luis, for a beautiful presentation. I'm interested in asking about 3D issues: digitalization, decarbonization, and diversification. How does KPC deal with the issues that are carried out practically in the future? Thank you. Okay, that's the second question. I think it is directed to Bo Luis. The third question is from anonymous attendee. How to manage the industry so that it can still be good for the environment and social in the future? I think it is. I let you both answer this question. And I think for Bima Gautama, how society in Australia are directly involved in mine activities, both giving their opinions and perspectives on mine activities, which, as we know, have a direct impact for the economy, social, environment, and others, and what makes it different from Indonesia? Okay, I think this is the 4 questions. So now I give the opportunity for Luis to give some responses on that. Please, Luis.
Okay, thank you, Pak Rudi. And also thank you for Mr. Arfait Mardatila for the questions regarding the illegal mining. Actually, in PT Keltim Primacoal, we do not have these illegal miners in the East Kutai region. But for the illegal miners, as we know, it's illegal. But now the government has accommodated. It should be a government action. Also need to give like an active awareness for the people about sustainability, not only in an economic side, but also for social impact and environmental impact that they must be aware of. So actually, this needs to be tackled, the issue, by government and in collaborations with the mining enterprise players, who is the PETI, the illegal miners, and also to talk with the local leaders. We need like approach to people about what is the damage that it can harms the environment and also the community in the surrounding areas, because they will reduce the quality of life of the environment in the illegal mining that they do. So I think it needs to be a collaborative actions between the parties of government, the players of mining, and also the local leaders, and how we can have a sit together to know what is the impact that they need to respond on that, because as mentioned in the law number 4, the government has accommodated the mining activities. But first, if we say it's illegal, then it has to be illegal. We need a crackdown actions for that. That's my answer for this question. Pak Rudi, should I continue with number 2?
Yeah, please.
Regarding the question from Mr. Juan Pariama, thank you for the questions. For digitalization, actually, what KPC do in controlling the mining operations, we already do the digitalizations, and it's been for a few years before, and now we are conducting that to integrate the digitalizations with the operations, with the finance, also with the environment, and also with the mining operation itself. Regarding the decarbonation in mining, we do a preservation for water in the mining area, and also we have a program, water program from the mining pond for the community needs. We supply like a 100 liter per second in the mining area that we preserve, and then we feed it for the PDAM, for the water needs by the community. So it's around the whole city have got the water from the mining area. So it's one of how we manage the water in the mining, and also we prevent the flooding happens by doing like a water management in the mining area sites with the labyrinth. We call it the labyrinth, so that there will be no more flood. Even in a high rainy season like this, we are not worried that there is flooding happening, and they blame the mining operation for that. So we have also improvement project in environment program, and also we do recycle water. We have a biodiversity commitment, and in diversifications, we do the downstreaming of coal mining currently. While the mining industry continues, we also apply our energy policy to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. And also answer the question number 3, we are currently doing the ESG rating. It is an environment, social, and governance rating, and also which is assessed by the Responsible Mining Index. It is concerned about economic, environment, social, and governance of how our company do all the sustainability aspects on that mining industry. So with this rating, we will know how we are responsible for a sustainable future. I think that's my answer, Pak Rudy, regarding the 3D and also how we deal with sustainability of the company. As mentioned also by Pak Ridwan, that it's not only about economic and social, but also how we do the business, so that it will be like having what is it? The sustainable competitive advantage. Like we do the ESG is as a core of our operation. If we have that aspects in our operation, then we will do a monitoring from time to time to ensure that our business will be sustainable, not only for the business itself, but also for the surrounding communities and for the future.
Okay, thank you, Bu Luis.
Okay, Pak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bu Luis. Pak Ridwan.
Okay, thank you, Parodi, and thank you for the question. So is the first question also for me, or I can?
Yes,
continue?
if you have any ideas on illegal mining.
First of all, as I mentioned in the PESTEL analysis, that the legal system in Australia is very strong. So, including, there's no such of illegal mining in Australia. So that's probably a straight answer of it. So I haven't seen any illegal mining. Even the quarry, we have very strict legal requirement before even we can start mining. Yeah. So I think from that end, that's a strength of Australian mining industry. So unfortunately, I can't really give an answer or give you an example how we manage this illegal mining. Definitely, I haven't seen any illegal mining, and from the context of legal system, it's not possible to have illegal mining here. Yep. And then probably the question number 2. I think.
This is how society. There's another question. Yeah, how societies are directly
involved. Society in Australia directly involved. Okay, so there is multiple way that Australian society involved in Australia mining industry currently. One, obviously, through employment. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, 1.2 million people employed in mining industry. So obviously, we provide employment for them, which is providing for the salary, the cost of living, and etc. And then the other one that's really, really important is also a supplier. So the society in Australia also become the biggest supplier of mining industry as well. So there is a lot of other businesses in the other industry in Australia supplying to the mining industry in Australia. So that's also giving the economy a boost as well. But in terms of giving opinions, perspective, so we have a lot of mining town, we call it. So mining town or area nearby of the mine. And usually that mining town is fueled or that mining town is there because of the mine. So it's the town is developed by the mining. Yeah, same with Indonesia, I think. So they really rely on the mining company to keep, for example, like a social support or social system, like getting a GP. GP is like a doctor umum, yeah. GP is general practice or like doctor umum. So like health, hospital, same. So all that social support or social system required for the town, the mining company provide that. Also through sponsorship, like any activities, events, and things like that. And we also usually have a regular like a consultation session with the local community, through obviously a couple of different people representing the communities, not all of them. Also including reporting. I think in Bulu's profile, Ibu Louis is member of the global, so
initiatives. Yeah.
yes, so that's also important because we have a sustainable report as well, and we have a lot of KPIs. And the biggest part of the society for Australian mining industry is the indigenous people of Australia, which is they are currently disadvantaged from progress, education, employment. So in general, they slightly disadvantaged compared to general society in Australia. So that's become the focus of Australian mining company trying to help, because they usually live around the remote community, which is where the mining company usually located. And that's where we're trying to involve them and consult with them a lot, especially around like opening a new area, for example. So the indigenous people usually roam that land, and they have like specific area that very, very important for them, for their culture. And usually they're telling stories while they walk to the next generation. So this land is very important. So when we are trying to open a new mine, we have to consult with them, bring them to the side, and walk with them and identify area that important. And we try to probably reallocate that to different place, trying to save them, not to damage them. And that could be like in the form of trees, sacred trees, sacred anything that very sacred for them, and we try to keep them preserved and move them somewhere else. So that's just one of example that really relevant to society in Australia. That's probably what make it different in Indonesia. I'm sure there is indigenous people as well in remote communities in Indonesia on the mine. But in what make Australia different and a bit unique is that indigenous people. We're more heavily involved in that because they are a bit disadvantaged, and we're trying to bring them to the same level with the rest of the society, considering that they are the one that they're first. Yeah, they are the indigenous people of Australia. That's probably my answer for that question, Bima. So thank you for the question. The next one is about what's the management approach that Australia does to ensure that sustainability of the mining industry is assured over the long term. Good question. So when we say management approach, I'm going to talk about the approach from the mining company itself. And I would like to use a couple of different examples from a couple of different companies that I work for. So as I mentioned before, I'm here not for a company, I'm here representing individual, but I have some exposure to a couple of different companies in Australia. So in general, it's about survival of the business. So the approach is more around making sure that the business stays sustainable, not just from profit, but also by addressing the other two triple bottom line, so people and planet. So in terms of people, for example, we mentioned about gender balance. As an example, PHP committing, so they literally put it in the website, in the report, the CEO commit and present in front of stakeholders that we are commit that we're going to achieve 50-50 by 2025. So this is CEO of the biggest mining company in the world talking about the gender balance, not just because trying to be politically correct, but it is commitment, because that gender balance also a big issue in a country like Australia. For example, we have usually a pay gap between gender, between men and women, that still exists, even though now it's like in the millennium like this, in the nowadays still have gender gap pay, and that's a big concern in social in Australia. And that's just one example that the company is trying to commit and making sure that the sustainability in this space, which is the gender pay gap, is addressed by announcing it really clearly in front of the stakeholder and in front of the world. It's really high and lofty target, but it's doable. We're now sitting around, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it's close to about 40% so far, 35, 40%. So nearly close, considering that now it's 2022. So we still have another 3 years. But and in action, that not just, okay, I'm just going to hire, women more. No, from top to the bottom, we have a clear strategy, we have a clear execution plan, we have a tactical strategy and how we're going to get there. So the song is basically sang by not only just the top, but also all the way down to the bottom. So from the leader all the way to the executor. So that's how we're trying to, to commit. The approach of management is trying to commit and show it in action. Yeah. So thank you, Lucas from University of Indonesia. So hopefully that answer, even though I'm only give you one example, but hopefully that answer your question. The next one, which is pretty long, so let me read. From Krishna Hilda Indraraho. In Australia, currently, there are many industries that are directly connected with SDG number 7. I think that was a renewable energy, if I'm not mistaken. What are the Australian mining efforts for supporting SDG number 7? Okay, good question. Renewable energy. As we know, mining industry consuming energy to produce, their product. Yeah. For example, in coal, we consume a lot of water. We consume a lot of electricity in trying to add value from the raw material to finished product, like washing the coal, crushing the iron ore, or making the gold nugget, etc. So we use energy, and in Australia, as you know, energy is an issue as well. Yeah, water is an issue for us, so that's one of the resource, not renewable. Oil, obviously, we use a lot of oil, a lot of fuel, solar for our equipment. There is a lot of effort in this space, but I would like to just give you one example that to me, it's clever, but also contributing back to the society. So, for example, one of the coal mining company in Queensland is partnering with Queensland government to have a PPA, they call it. So PPA means purchase agreement. Purchase agreement of power from renewable energy from Australian government. So that means mining industry will try to consume that energy, renewable, that will give back to community because the money will go back to the Australian government, which is the Australian community, our Queensland community will enjoy as well. And also take the load away from the grid, the electricity grid, like the traditional electricity grid. So i.e. this electricity grid can be used for others as well. So we're talking about balancing of energy here. But to me, this is clever because we are trying to solve one problem by also solving the other problem. So you're contributing back to the community as well. So that's just one example. The other example is in the underground mine in Queensland, we also use electric loader. So electric underground loader. So as you know, like articulated loader underground in coal mine. There's a lot of them at the moment in Queensland. So that's new. The autonomous truck still using normal solar, but I think in the future it will be transitioning to electricity. But the challenge, the electricity grid is also big because in Australia we have a lot of drag lines in Queensland. I'm not sure if everyone have seen drag line. Drag line is like as big as a big house, like maybe three-story houses, and it's a big machine that can move 80,000 BCM a day. That's a lot of dirt in one day, and that's consume a lot of electricity because they are electrically powered. Yeah, so the load of electricity in Queensland is very, very high in central Queensland area where a lot of mines. My company owns 7 mines in central Queensland, not to mention the other companies as well. So big area, like big operation, big mining. There's a lot of mines in that central Queensland region, and we consume a lot of electricity. So you can probably imagine the size of this, the price of this number 7 SDG by doing this PPA. in collaboration with the Queensland government. So that hopefully explain with some example how the mining industry in one part of Australia at least. I'm sure in Western Australia there will be a lot of that too. But that's just one example. And water is another example. We try to recycle water a lot. So we use water from rain. Obviously, rain is very dry. Like Australia is very dry. Like, you only get rain during wet season, like now, like during summer, and after that dry. So water is very critical. So we are trying to always recycle water. So from the pit to the dam back to the CSPP or the coal handling preparation plant. So we're just recycling all the time. So that's just another example how we preserve water. So hopefully that answered the questions. Krishna, yeah? Okay. Next question from Juan Pariyama. According to CNBC IND, Mr. Edgar Buster, so this is the president of Mineral Australia in my company. Mineral Australia is one of the business unit of BHP, which is owning two big business, which is one coal in east coast of Australia and one is Western Australia, iron ore. So these two material is very critical to for supply to China steel industry and India and other part of the world as well that producing steel. Yes, which is I mentioned in my presentation that with the world try to decarbonize, trying to reduce carbon emission. BHP is sharpening its focus on producing the high quality metallurgical coal, which is different coal than Indonesia. Indonesian coal is thermal coal, which is used for power generation majority of time, while the metallurgical coal is for steel making. We used to be for cooking coal. Cooking the iron ore. That's why we call like a coking coal or metallurgical coal. So this coal will be made as a coke, and then coke putting in the steel making furnace, and then we'll cook the steel and then become steel. So what does this mean by? So what Mr. Edgar Buster mean by this? Improving efficiency and lowering emission. This is related to my point around BHP portfolio. So a lot of, not only just BHP, a lot of other company in Australia trying to basically revisit their portfolio. They're trying to have a look at their portfolio again and see what we can do to better position the company in the future. In this case, try to decarbonize the world. What are the contribution of our company to the world, basically on this matter, which is decarbonization? Again, I'm individual. I'm not speaking on behalf of BHP here, but I work for BHP. So when the Mr. Edgar saying about this is about we're trying to make sure we produce metallurgical coal product that have less carbon emission. So that's more like, like maybe the parameter, like quality parameter of the coal itself, or could be anything. Basically trying to reduce, I don't want to go into detail here because that could be against some, so I just want to be like in general. The product that we're going to produce, we need to start thinking, okay, like if this product marketed in the market and then consumed by our customer, is this going to increase the carbonization of the world, or is going to be reducing carbonization? So as part of the producer, as part of the supplier, we're trying to be responsible as well. We're trying to set up our consumer for success to decarbonize the world. So that's what Mr. Edgar Buster said.
Okay, I think it is the same. Krishna Hilda Indra Rahmat, the same question as the previous one. You already answered that one.
Answer. Yeah.
Okay. This one is too bullish, but maybe Mas Ridwan can also have ideas on that. Related to so you can from Muhammad Rizki Sultan.
Okay, and this is really interesting question around legal, around regulation.
CSR funds from company.
Yes, so CSR fund. Maybe I will give you an example, not so much CSR funds, but more like from rehabilitation fund point of view. So in Australia, especially in Queensland, before the mine opened, excuse me, before the mine opened, company need to put some fund. This fund is like a bond, like a bond fund. So you can't take it as long as you still operate. The fund will sit there, and so the government will basically hold the fund for you until you start progressively releasing an area and rehabbing the area. So when I say progressively, it's up to you. If you progressively rehabbing, let's say 3 hectares per month, for example, or 10 hectares per month, then you will get that money back as well progressively. Depending on the rate per hectare that it was agreed at the beginning, you will get released progressively. So that's just one example of regulation. In this case, in rehabilitation area. In terms of not tend to change much, I would like to put a little bit of asterisk on this one. Yeah, when I say not change much, it's depending on the government, obviously. If the prime minister change, usually a little bit change, but not much. But not like a underlying regulation will change. But it's just, for example, mining tax. I think maybe you remember back in 2008, 2010, we have mining tax in Australia. What we call increase in mining tax. That was really big and sweeping change that happened in the regulation in Australia, and also triggered a lot of pro and contra within the mining business community. And that's just one example, that new prime minister, and they are coming from a different party from the previous prime minister, and they have a different view of how to tackle environment issue in the mining business. So, for example, Labor, that's one of the party in Australia, have different view from coalition party. So when they change government, they're trying to introduce sort of their point, their interest or their point of interest of this matter, trying to win some, obviously, more election going forward, right? So it's all about more politics, but it's not changing every year or every 5 years. Like we only see this when certain issue from the external factor impacting, like back in the days in 2008, 2010, it was mining boom. So when I came here in Australia in 2010, it was mining boom. So we were like fueled by the high commodity price, especially coal, and mining boom occurred at the time where a lot of mine was open and they need a lot of engineers, and they don't have enough engineers here, which is one of the key sustainability issue as well, skill shortage. And that's the reason why Australia is importing a lot of skilled migrant from different countries, in mining space, from mining engineer, geologists, environment, civil engineers, like everywhere, like IT, health, everywhere. Like they have skill shortage because we don't have enough people here in Australia. Compared to Indonesia, we're nothing. We don't have enough people that can basically fuel the economy. So that's why we need to have those immigration, coming to Australia to try to fuel the economy, try to make the economy going, and that's just one of the issues. So hopefully that answered the question, Rizky.
Maybe the question is there any regulation on CSR funds in Australia?
I have to go back on that one, Pak Rudi. I think I'm not aware that there is CSR funds, but I can find out for you. But I know that I'm sure there is. But I think every mine have their CSR strategy. Funds wise, I think they're racing, trying to show how much their contribution to the CSR, like community. They're racing, like how much money they spend and contribute to the community. Right? They try to disclose that in the report. For example, into the ASX, which is Australian security. It's like a Bursa Effect of Indonesia.
Bursa Effect,
So they try to disclose that. But I have to go back on that one for you, Pak Rudi, in terms of CSR
whether it is regulated, because as Pa Rizky said, that there are, I think maybe Bu Luis will confirm that there are or there is regulation from, for example, Bu Luis mentioned about 7 area for CSR.
Yeah.
There is a regulation from the Minister of Mining, Energy, and mining mineral resources that regulated the area that should be focused by the mining company. Okay, Bu Luis, you can answer that Rizky's question.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Rudy. Maybe I can also share with all of us here that actually for the community development and empowerment, it is actually regulated in our Ministry Decree number 1824 back 2018. And it has like 8 main programs, which is actually it's a bit confusing also for us as a practitioner of community development in the company. As you mentioned, who's the question is from Pak Muhammad Rizky in Central Sulawesi. We also happened to make like a meeting with the provincial government, asking for about 2 or 3% from the profit of the company. And we say that it's not regulated. Actually, as we know that it is an international norm that it's not obligation actually, but it's like a voluntary action to be responsible to the surrounding communities. But in Indonesia, it becomes a regulation based on that ministry decree, at least for the mining companies. But I also attended a meeting last December with the ASDM in Bali and also in Yogyakarta, that they want to have like a percentage from the unit cost of production. There is a formula that they are proposing us as a company, but we are saying, actually we say that it's not about the amount of money when we do something with the community, because I can give you a comparison. Like if I build a road, maybe different with I give some money to small medium enterprises. 5 million is a big thing for SME, but 5 million becomes nothing for a road or a concrete access in the community housing, for example. So we cannot compare one program to the other, apple to apple, like that, because we are not focusing on how much money that we give. But that's why I present in my presentation that we start from a social mapping, and then we sit together with the stakeholders. What is the needs of the community? That's why we do the logical framework analysis, starting to plan the project and program with the stakeholders, because it takes time. Like KPC contributes for $5 million US. It's a big amount of money. Yeah? It's like 70 million rupiah, if we say, then it's very a lot of money that we also have to ensure that it is not overlapped with the government program budget, the APBD or APBN. Yeah? We cannot just giving and then not empowering the community. That's why I believe that the government still will want to have a percentage of how much of the unit cost of production of a mining company like us, but they still do the formula, because we are the mining association still have not agree with that. The associations have a standpoint of not really agreeing with the idea, because to know more about sustainable development with the community, it's not about how much money. Actually, the background of why they want to stipulate it in the regulations, probably because of so many other mining companies are not responsible for that kind of thing, and they want to just make it like one regulation for all. So there are a lot of discussions in that meeting also that we contribute what is our insight about community development and empowerment. So that it is good to have a discussion, more deep discussion with the government who are the principal of mining companies like us. So yeah, that's happened, Pak Rizky. Hopefully that the Perda will not give like how many percent of your profit or how many percent, because we need to strive in a forum of CSR forum. I am active in a local forum to say with other companies that this is what is the principle of community development and empowerment? What is the principle of sustainable development? What is sitting together with our and engaging our stakeholder? That's the more important thing to make the business sustainable and also to be responsible for in a genuine way with the people surround us. Yeah, I think that's my response on the questions.
Okay, thank you, Bu Luis. We don't have any question in the Q&A. So I would like to raise some issues that I would like to have to hear your responses, both of you. The first one is because it is actually related to Indonesia, Mas Ridwan. So maybe you can give us some kind of information of the profile of the mineral-based industry in Australia, because you are mentioning that your iron ore, the metallurgical coal is actually are exporting to China or to other countries. Is there any issues that the mining products should be processed domestically as we have in Indonesia? I think you understand my question, that in Indonesia this is a big issue, that we need to process all the or most of the mining products domestically to give a more added value to the country. Maybe you can give us some kind of this profile of this mineral base, for example, steel industry or other such battery for cars and others. Just to give us some kind of information.
Thank you, Pak Rudi.
The other one is my comments on the profit, people, and planet is actually the form of the basic form of, or not the basic form, the modification of the basic form of sustainable development, which is the triple bottom line is economy, social, and environment. Social is people, environment is planet, and economy is profit. But I think it is if we see it from the company or the business perspective, this is the terms is because if we are talking about planet, it means that it is kind of responsibility for the company as the mankind. So maybe one other things is there is question about the renewable energy. We understand that COP26 that have directed us or the coal into the coal, not the phasing out but phasing down. Your companies may be producing metallurgical coal, but other companies in New South Wales and others, they are producing thermal coal as well as KPC, for example. So how is it the discussion on that, the future of the thermal coal and the renewable energy in Australia? And later on, I will go to Luis, but first, Mas Ridwan.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you, Pak Rudi. Very interesting three questions, but I take that as three different questions.
Yeah.
The first one, please remind me, but I have. So the first one is about. Can you please repeat a little bit? Just a little bit. Just give me some.
Yeah. This is the profile of mineral based industry. So the use of so for example the iron ore, how percentage the iron ore used domestically in
Yes.
Australia.
Okay, but I think that's very, very interesting question. So Australia is majority for example, if I use still industry related mining, iron ore and coal, metallurgical coal in the east coast of Australia. Majority our export is raw material.
Raw material.
Back in the days, Australia had steel industry in Australia, I think in South Australia, and still exists until now, but it's been owned by external, not Australian company anymore.
Yeah.
In Whyalla. So Whyalla is well known as in South Australia, well known as a steel making area, steel making region, and used to absorb iron ore from Western Australia a lot. Like either from BHP or Rio Tinto, basically consuming some of the iron ore before it get exported to other part of the world. Yeah, but nowadays the key issue in Australia is about labor. So labor is very expensive in Australia, and at the time the reason why steel industry was not growing or stopped, like Australian steel industry stopped, is because a couple of different reasons. Labor, one of them. Two is about the competitive advantage of steel. The price of steel. You're producing steel in Australia compared to steel you produce in India or China. The price of steel will be different there because labor here is more expensive. Labor abroad is probably a bit more cheaper than Australia. So that's just one of the factors that make Australia steel industry was decline. But that company still exists. We're still making some steel, but not much, I think. And this is probably related to your second question around, do we have to add value in Australia before sending the material to the other part of the world? The answer is depend. In terms of iron ore, we're sending raw. Iron ore we're sending to China and India and the other part of the world as a raw material. When I say raw, is we just purely mine and then crush and sizing, and then we sell them in a couple of different sizing, like there's different classes of material due to sizing, and then that's drive the price as well. And that's it. We just send it off board, to different part of the world. In coal is a bit different. In coal we wash definitely, so we have to wash the coal because that's basically one of part of the quality of the coal coming from here. As metallurgical coal, have to be low ash, i.e. we have to wash it first and become low ash and wash to be able to be sent to the other part of the world. So yes, like in coal wise, yes, we have to do the washing here in Australia. Gold, we have smelter here. Nickel, we have smelter here. So depending on the product and depending on the material itself and the requirement of the consumer as well. Some consumer wants to have finished product or half finished product. Like for example, in nickel in Inco Sorako, it was half finished product, right? So nickel made is half finished product. So while nickel in Australia, we use HPAL technology, so high pressure acid lasing, which is more cheaper than using furnace, because furnace you need to use a lot of energy. And Sorowako was lucky because we have plenty of lake and river and that we can dam and we can.
It's very cheap. Very environmental friendly.
But exactly, and very environmental friendly. While in here in Australia we don't have, we're not that lucky. So I think it's dependent. So not all have to be processed here in Australia, but depending on that. And then also there's no specific regulation from the government to have to be like this. But yeah, that's my understanding. Yeah. So maybe if I could miss, but my understanding is like depending on the commodity itself and the market driven.
Sorry, about the met coal. Do you process met coal to become coke?
Great question, Mark. We don't do it in Australia. So the coke usually the coking process usually completed by the consumer, our customer, and that's basically as a base. So they do the test first because the coke is basically simulating how the coal gonna react in the furnace, basically. So they do that as part of the test before they're buying the product, and that's usually done in the test furnace overseas. So we have to send them the sample and etc. My understanding is we don't do that coking here, but in Australia we also have thermal coal. So in the southern side of East Coast, which is in New South Wales, most of the coal is thermal coal, like the coal in Indonesia, and usually that coal is exported through Newcastle port, in New South Wales. So that's basically similar to the quality of coal in Indonesia. So they're also posing some challenge. This is probably answering your third question, but around how's the dynamic around this COP26, are we pacing down or pacing out coal? In Australia, it's more around providing the economic growth at the moment. That's why the Prime Minister of Australia in the COP26 is trying to buy some time. I think because as we know, mining industry is contributing to Australian economy. Like majority of the GDP is from there. But the impact here is start getting seen. For example, University of Queensland Mining Engineering Department, it's probably declining. Start from I think 3 or 2 years ago. They're not producing any mining engineer anymore. Because the nowadays generation, they think that mining is not sustainable, so they don't want to go and study mining. So that's more like an example. Maybe the closest example we can give. So it's not so much in the now, the impact or the dynamic. It's more like in the future, so that the future generations start thinking about the impact of mining. But to me, it's more about the balancing act part, and I think technology play a big part here. So people viewing this, phasing out coal now, phasing down coal now, is because they're only seeing what we can do now. Technology will help us. There's a lot of things we can't do now, we will be able to do in the future with the help of technology. We just need to explore and do a lot more work in that space. So I personally think that mining industry can be sustainable in the future with the help of technology. And with the help of technology, we can change the perception of the community of the impact of mining to environment and to social as well. So I think that's probably important. And that's the reason why I brought up this topic of the role of technology as well in the presentation, because that is probably one aspect that we can rely on in the future. There's no aspect in our life currently that does not touch by technology. So I'm one of the probably optimists that there will be positive disruption in our industry that will make mining industry more sustainable. And then the scientists start saying, so autonomous haulage, use of more data, addressing climate change impact, climate change action with technology. There's a lot of other, stuff like, for example, that LNG ship that I show you, that was basically in collaboration with research and development. So we collaborate with university, we collaborate with all the experts in that space to try to decarbonize the supply chain. So that's just one example. So so hopefully that answer your question
Yeah.
in terms of dynamic. I think back again to the context, because mining is so Australian society still think that mining is good for them. That's why they are very optimistic that we can make it work. So Australians they're saying in Australia that we can make it work. We can make it work. So either by technology or by improving the way we do things to become more sustainable.
Okay, thank you, Pak Ridwan. So, I will go to Ibu Louis. Ibu Louis, about community development, sharing value. I think it's very, very interesting points that you raised in this this presentation. In one of the slides, you say also one of the reference of the CSR is mine closure mandate. I think it is very, very important because as we all aware that mine closure is one important issue that faced by the mining companies. And according to our regulation, that mine closure plan should be developed before we start mining. I think it is the best practice all over the world. That, as Mas Ridwan also mentioned, that before mining in Australia, they have to talk to the people so actually to ensure the people that the future after the mine will be better, or at least the same. I don't know, maybe at least better. We have a better opportunity to have a better future. So can you share to us about the profile, at least the general profile of the mine closure of KPC in the future? So to give us as a basic, when you are developing your community development, most of the people usually use the term of economic development of the area or other issues. So what is how KPC see the mine closure profile of the area or the area post-mining?
Okay, thank you, Pak Rudi. To share about the mine closure as mandate in our mine closure book, which is already approved in 2011. As we know that it is to ensure that we are supporting the growth of renewable agents and also to local business units. As we can see in the 7 programs or the 8 main programs as mentioned in the minister decree, it's all aiming to the mine closure mandate, which means that we want to make the community in the surrounding of the mining operations is self-reliance. We call it the self-reliance through the vehicles of like Desa Mandiri or the self-reliance village, through the village enterprises, that we need to ensure that there are local business units that will grow and also sustain after the mining is over. And also it is important for us to prepare for the mine closure of a job creation. That's why from our SME development, we have develop like 150 or 165 groups of SME actually with the community in the 4 districts in the surrounding areas, and it already have a multiplier effect of creating jobs for other communities. So not rely on the business of the mining itself. So they can become independent on that one. And also to increase the public understanding of the roles and functions of each party in the development. Like I mentioned that probably because of a lot of amount of CSR of KPC contributed like $5 million per year, then the dependence from the stakeholders is remaining high. Actually, we want to make it reduce. It is not easy to reduce like a social stakeholder, but to make them aware about what is the independence that they can get from the program that we develop with the stakeholders. It also means with the local government, because if there is a lack of budget in the local government, like the Eastern Kutai region, then it is probably come again to the company for the budgeting of the project development. So sitting together is one way of communicating with the stakeholders from time to time to make sure that the planning of program also to drive them to have a self-reliance in every aspect. We use also the index of village development index, so that they will aware that the village is will be independent by that indicators, and also to increase the community involvement through collaborations in order to support their independence. In our $5 million, we can say that there are like a 45, we call it CEA, before the budget is can be used. And it's a lot of projects and programs that we talk together with the community. Referring to what you asked about the post-mining areas, we already make like 3 areas I mentioned earlier in Telaga Batu Arang. It's actually for ecotourism, because it has the potential of biodiversity that we develop with the local government and also the local leaders here, and also the local community, of how to become managing the area once if it's released by the company, or we can work together with them to enhance the ecotourism, because it is one of the like destination in our local tourism already stated by the region back in 5 or 7 years ago. So that's why we need to integrate our plan of mine closure plan with the tata ruang, with the spatial planning of the area. Very important because we want to contribute our mine closure area to the whole integrated spatial planning in the region, in the government side. So there are also some programs that we develop always together with the local government, like the agriculture. Currently, we last year in October, we already launching the local chicken breeding farm, which can supply the local breeding farm for the local farmers in East Kutai and East Kalimantan. But in maybe 5 to 10 years from now, we want to also grab the market in the Eastern Indonesia. So there's a lot of opportunity actually, Pak Rudi, in the post-mining area. We are very active involving with the central government, with the they call it the Economic Committee, Indonesian Economic Committee. It consists of mining companies and also with many departments involved in this mine closure plan. So it is a lot of things to do, but we have the plan already, and we want to make a consultation with our stakeholders, the local government, the central government, provincial government, and always look at what is the blueprint that's coming from the governor. As we mentioned in the Ministry Decree 2018, we need to make a master plan of community development and empowerment that will refer to the blueprint of province. Yeah. So each province have their own uniqueness based on what is the development plan in the 5 year period. Okay, Pak Rudi, that's I think my.
Yeah, thank you, Luis. So thank you for Mas Ridwan and Bu Luis. Unfortunately, Professor Carsten Debelset cannot join us this webinar this afternoon. But I would like to, for the participants, I would like to read a short CV of Professor Debelset, and also read kind of abstract that he should present this one. And I maybe if we can have his presentation, I don't know, maybe the organizing committee can share to all the participants, because it is interesting. If we are talking about sustainability, maybe I will say the conclusion later on. But first, I would like to give you some information about Professor Carsten Debelset. He is a mining engineer. He is the professor of surface mining in Technical University Freiberg, Berg Academy Freiberg in Germany, eastern part of Germany. Technical University, or the German name from the original name is Berg Academy, is one of the oldest mining school in the world. The oldest one is, I think, in Czech Republic, and this is, I think, the second or the third mining school in the world. So he is the professor for surface mining since 1999, and he has been the head of the Institute of Surface Mining, and he was the dean of the faculty from 2013 to 2016, the Faculty of Geoscience, Geoengineering, and Mining, and also the vice rector for research of the TU Freiberg. And he has very long experiences in different countries. So this is maybe the short CV of Professor Carsten Debelset. Head of department. He is the president of German Association of Mining Engineers, a member of advisory board of some private companies, Secretary General of World Forum of Resource Universities on Sustainability. I was also one of the member of the executive committee of this forum, and also other association, international association. He's member of Society of Mining Professors and others. So he's very well known. He's graduated from the Moscow Mining Institute, and he also maybe I should read. He also a member of Saxonian Academy of Sciences, the Romanian Academy of Technical Sciences, the Eurasian Academy of Mining Sciences, the Balkan Academy of Mining Sciences, Russian Academy of Mining Sciences, and even in honor professor in Mongolia and Russia, honor geologist in Mongolia, honor miner in Vietnam, and others. So he visited us also several times. And I would like to share or read the abstract. So what he should present is actually the mineral demand and mineral supply in Germany, one of the industrialized country, talking about the strategic tools for securing the mineral supply. So Germany is one of the largest consumers of mineral resources worldwide. The German economy depends on imports of metals, but they don't have any production, no product, which are no production in Germany, industrial mills, and as well as energy sources, natural gas and oil. So according to the policy of energy change, Germany closed its hard coal production in 2018. Hard coal, and closes the nuclear power stations in 2022, this year, and lignite use latest in 2038. So it is part of coal phasing out or coal phasing down. And the energy supply must be overtaken, especially by solar energy, wind energy, and biomass. But on the other hand, these sources of energy increase the needs in metals, as mentioned also by Mas Ridwan, the electric car, for example. The need of copper, the need of nickel, the need of steel, aluminum, rare earth, etc., as well as industrial minerals and construction material for power generation, power distribution grids, and power storage and conversion technologies. One of the conversion technologies is the production of hydrogen, the substitution of natural oil and gas in the mobility and heat markets. The change to electric power in mobility, the development of digitalization increases the demands in electricity, which speed up the national mineral hungry of Germany. For battery technology, minerals as cobalt, lithium becomes critical. For microchip production, which are essential for most of modern electronic-based products, car industry, for example, silica and fluor are critical. Critical is a raw material if there is a shortage on market with the concentration of the production in few countries or companies, especially in politically unstable regions. Under this situation, topics as reducing the mineral needs by their effective use, recycling, reuse, long-life products, and domestic mining activities win importance. Germany has own mineral potential for critical raw materials, but in small and complex deposits. New effective and responsible mining and processing technologies can make this deposit in the near future accessible so that they can contribute to secure the mineral demand. Mineral research is a key issue in the future. So that's actually the abstract of should be his presentation this afternoon. I think by reading the abstract, as the objective of this webinar, the theme is the sustainability action in mining industries. So as I mentioned in the beginning, that we would like to see it from three perspectives. First is from the demand side, which is should be represented by Professor Drebens, that the demand from the industrialized country, demand on minerals, demands on materials. So it means that mining industry will be sustained, meaning that we or people or mankind needs mining, because if not mine here in one country, it will be mined everywhere in other places. So the development or the technology development in the future also needs actually, on the other hand, they need materials. They need as copper. They need nickel for battery. They need rare earth for chips and others. So technology development is there. So it is we cannot deny on that. We can, but on the other hand, the need of materials, the need of mining-based mining product materials is also increasing. Maybe the type of materials is different, not conservative materials, but maybe there are new materials that they are needed and also have to be mined somewhere. So this is from the the demand side perspective. And from Mas Ridwan, we learn about from the perspective from the supply side. We understand that 75% of export of Australia is actually from natural resources, and mining has played a very significant role in the economy for Australia. I remember, I cannot remember what time it is. I think I remember the speech of the president of our ISMC in 2000. He mentioned about the role of not only the mining industry, mining product of Australia, but also the role of mining software developed in Australia in the world. He mentioned at the time 70% of the mining softwares in the mining world is actually a product of Australia. So from this information, what Mas Ridwan already presented this afternoon, we can see how important mining industry for Australia. I think in the future, it is still important because it is still one of the competitive advantage of Australia compared to other countries. Maybe the direction of Australia will be different, but still the need of materials, the need of materials for will give Australia's very strategic position for a supply. And the third one is the people. Actually, the people is the people where the mining activities are operating. So it is very important, and Ibu Louis give us one example how one of the largest, as Mas Ridwan said, the largest coal mining, because the single company produced 80 million. It will be the largest, the single company, the largest company from one side. Yeah, Pak Ridwan, yeah. BHP produced maybe more, but from different mines. But it is from one side, produce 80 million tons per year. 70 maximum.
62.
Yeah, I think it is still the largest, one of the largest coal mining company. So we can learn how KPC, with its commitment to develop to give benefit not only for the shareholders, but also for the most important stakeholders is the local community. So I think it is we can learn a lot of this from this presentation. Unfortunately, we cannot have Professor Kasendebel said, but as I mentioned, I will contact him. Maybe we can have his presentation materials, and I will share to the organizing committee and let the organizing committee to share with all of you. By this conclusion, so I think it is kind of a conclusion of this webinar. I hope it will be beneficial for all of us because I learned a lot from this presentation. I think we all learned a lot from this presentation. And I will give it back to the organizing committee because there is one other program. Thank you very much for all your attention, and I apologize for any inconvenience, maybe. Okay, I will give it to the organizing committee. Safira, Nasda, or the MC to announce the best question. Or should I do that? I don't know. In Q&A, I think in Q&A or in chat, there is still any question. Do we have any time, Panitia?
Again with me, Alberto Graciano, hereby as your Master of Ceremony.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy Sayoga Gautama. After we heard about the webinar, now let's jump to our next session, the announcement of the best questioner. So for the best questioner for session 1, Engineer Luis J. Pesiraron, MBA from Calteam Primacol, you are allowed to announce for the best questioner.
My best questioner is from Arfait Mardatila.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Luis. And for the best questioner session 2, Mr. Ritwan, you are allowed to announce for the best questioner.
The best question from me is from Chris Nahilda. Thank you for the question. Well done.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ritwan. Congratulations for all of the best questioner. Our committee will follow up to you for the next step.
Okay, what's next? Mr. MC, I think you need to close the session.
Before we end today's webinar, we would like to give a big round of applause to our speakers. Thank you for the insight, the invitation to participate, and of course, spending your time here to give back to the students here by giving a brand new perspective. So, we are here in the place card giving session. First, to Ms. Engineer Luis J. Pesiraron, MBA from Calteam Primacol. Second, to Mr. Ridwan. And last but not least, our moderator for today, Mr. Rudy Yoga Sayoga Utama. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of the international webinar of Indonesia's Student Mining Competition, the 13th. We finally must bid our farewells to you. I hereby stand as your Master of Ceremony, along with the board, would like to give a very special thank you and grateful for all the parties who helped us to actualize Indonesia's Student Mining Competition, the 13th international webinar. I also would like to apologize for any mistakes made during this program. Once again, we are really thankful for your participation. Thank you for today. My name is Alberto Graciano as your Master of Ceremony signing out. Thank you everyone. Goodbye.